Our last feature for this week is a movie called Butcher's Crossing. It's based on the seminal novel by John Edward Williams, and it's headlined by Nicolas Cage, and he's one of... Actually, it is headlined by Nicolas Cage, but this is a very interesting Western. It's a Western. It looks like a Western, but there's a little bit more... It's not a shoot-'em-up Western. It's not a revenge Western. It centers on this young kid named Will Andrews, played by Fred Hetchinger. And he leaves Harvard to head out west to learn about the West, the great wide open plains of the West, the mountains and whatnot, to learn about the great outdoors. And what he does is he teams up with a frontiersman, a mysterious frontiersman played by Nicolas Cage. So this kid, Will, goes with Cage's character, that frontiersman, along with two other people, a skinner and an old guy who does all the cooking and handiwork during the trek. And they are out on a very ambitious trek to find buffalo. Not just your average buffalo riding across the plains or just running across the plains. He has a special buffalo that he has seen at the top of the mountain, and they are at some kind of clearing. The problem is, to get to that location, it will take everything that they have as far as just mentally, emotionally, especially physically, to get to that spot. Will they get there? Will they find the buffalo that this frontiersman says has the best hide and the best bang for your buck? Once they skin the buffalo and get all the parts, they can go back to town and make a lot of money. That is the premise behind this film, directed by Gabe Polsky. Very atmospheric, really interesting vistas. Has a lot to say about the near extinction of buffaloes, I believe, in the Wild Wild West I think this movie is set around the early to mid 1870s in the Old West. Eric Holmes, take it away. Butcher's Crossing, your thoughts on this movie?
I love this movie. This is weird to say. It kind of reminded me of a lot of There Will Be Blood. Not like that it has a similar story, but a lot of Butcher's Crossing is kind of, what would you call it, like a warning about greed. Because I think that's kind of where it goes towards the end. And then, of course, like you mentioned, with almost making the buffaloes extinct, that's kind of on the, it's got some titles at the end that talks about that. But I think mostly this is about greed and where it goes with that. There's also the character, the Skinner character. I believe he's played by Jeremy Bobb.
Great. He's so good.
Who just kind of complains the entire time. The whole time I'm like, what are you doing here? Just go. just... Hey, we need a Skinner. I'm like, I'll do it myself. We don't need you here. But then there comes a point where like his complaints actually become, oh, damn, he's right. Damn it. The annoying guy's right about this. I like how it's shot. I don't want to say I like the characters, but I like how the characters interacted with each other. And then Fred Hetchinger, who played Will, he had a pretty good character arc, because like his was a character that at the beginning I was like, oh, this guy's like pretty nothing character. But then as it goes on and as they go buffalo hunting and things start turning bad for him, his character kind of grows, and his character at the end is like vastly different than when he started, which probably screenwriting 101. But I think his character arc worked really well in this, without saying what it is. The way that I really enjoyed how this ended. Enjoyed's not the right word, but I really appreciated how this ended.
We also have to mention Nicolas Cage, who Western, the title's Butcher's Crossing. You think it would be maybe Cage doing an outsized performance, but it's a very large, I don't know if it's a larger than life character. It's a pretty subdued performance, wouldn't you say? Pretty much.
Yeah, and in fact, he kind of, and I know you make the face-off comparisons, he reminded me a lot of John Travolta in this. I didn't see Nicolas Cage a lot of the time. I saw John Travolta a lot of the time, which is, that made me think of Face-Off, and that's weird, but whatever.
And if you're thinking Butcher's Crossing is some sort of social statement on the near extinction of the buffaloes, yes, that's a big inspiration behind Gabe Polsky's film. But the movie itself, especially if you're into that mission of them, that journey of them trying to find the buffaloes, once they encounter them, what do they do? How does, like Eric say, how does greed envelop them? Or in a lot of the times, you see mainly, for most of the movie, 4 people trying to survive out in the wilderness. And it really feels like a very expansive narrative. I really enjoyed it. It's also a coming of age story from that naive kid, like you were mentioning, Eric. But what happens to Will for the second half of the movie and the way his character is written and portrayed, I thought it was pretty sublime. I don't want to really mention what kind of creative masterstroke that I really loved. Well, you and I can talk about it after we record the show, Eric, but I thought it was just absolutely brilliant. And I agree, the ending to Butcher's Crossing is fantastic. I was surprised at how much I loved Butcher's Crossing. Let's start with you, Eric. Your rating on this film, or final thoughts and your rating.
I guess one thing I didn't mention is that, especially in like, this is not a horror movie, but it definitely has horror elements to it, especially during the buffalo hunt and kind of where it ends up. Overall, this was a complete surprise. I think I'll go 4.5. This is kind of one of those, like, I'm saying 4.5, but this could probably be a 5 for me.
I agree with you, Eric. This is a 4.5-star film. I love the beautiful vistas. I was thinking, oh no, these buffaloes must be CGI'd. No, they're a lot of this is real. You get to, if you want to see buffaloes, you see Butcher's Crossing. They are there. Buffaloes are actually out in the open. Eric, do you see as much as you and I love this movie, do you see maybe people who are expecting your stereotypical Western to be turned off by this? Is there a flip side to all the praise you and I are levying on Butcher's Crossing?
I guess if you don't like Westerns, maybe. Well, and what they do with the buffaloes is pretty heinous. I guess that's what they did at the time. So, it's true to form. But yeah, a lot of buffaloes die. And so if that's not something you want to see, well, you said they used real buffaloes. I'm sure they
I mean
real buffaloes in those scenes.
Not in those scenes, but they, the vista shots, the shots on the land. I'm sure there must be some kind of CGI involved, but a lot of it is buffaloes. They actually use the buffaloes from that area. So that's amazing. So that is very good. Butcher's Crossing, I was surprised at how much I loved it as well. So 4.5 like Eric. Both of us gave it 4.5 stars. It is in theaters on Friday. Bruce, this is one of these movies that I think I should have caught wind of a little bit sooner. I think this is a movie that you would have liked. It's a quality movie.
This is CinemAddicts.